Stay calm by avoiding these 5 deadly thoughts. I used to think my mind was a prison. Seriously, every day was a fight against this relentless storm of anxious thoughts that left me exhausted and feeling totally alone. It felt like peace was something other people had, but it just wasn't for me. For years, I was trapped, just wondering why I couldn't calm down like everyone else. The breakthrough, the moment the key finally turned in the lock, came when I realized something that changed everything. I was the one locking the doors. I was feeding the storm. I was caught in a handful of mental traps. They're powerful, they're invisible, and they are devastatingly good at destroying any chance at peace. These aren't just negative thoughts. They're specific, sneaky patterns of thinking that are known to fuel anxiety and stress. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my escape plan. I'm going to pull back the curtain on the 5 deadly thoughts that were wrecking my peace, and more importantly, I'll share the simple, real strategies I use to disarm them, one by one, to finally get my calm back. And the first one? It's probably the biggest storm creator of them all. Deadly thought 1. Catastrophizing. The first deadly thought, the one that held me hostage for so long, is catastrophizing. This is when your mind automatically jumps to the absolute worst-case scenario. It's not just worrying, it's taking a small, uncertain thing and blowing it up into a full-blown disaster in your head. A blunt email from your boss doesn't just mean they're busy, it means you're getting fired. A cough isn't just a cough, it's a terminal illness. A friend not texting back right away means the friendship is over. Sound familiar? For me, this showed up as a constant, low-level hum of terror. I remember this one time so clearly. I'd made a tiny error in a report at work, a single wrong number that was found and fixed in minutes. It was a total non-issue, but in my head, the catastrophe was already playing out. I spent the rest of the afternoon in a cold sweat. I couldn't focus. My heart was pounding, my thoughts were racing. I pictured getting called into my manager's office, the public shame, losing my job, not being able to pay rent, and ending up a complete failure. All of that, from one tiny corrected typo. That's the power of catastrophizing. It takes a molehill of reality and builds a mountain of terrifying fiction, and then makes you live there. It's exhausting, and it tricks you into believing you're always one step away from disaster. So, how do you fight back against a monster your own mind is creating? The strategy that saved me is a classic from cognitive behavioral therapy, and it starts with one simple move. You have to question the story. When that catastrophic thought grabs you, you need to become a gentle but firm detective. Start by asking a few key questions. First, what's the actual evidence for this worst-case scenario? For me, and that report, the evidence was one typo that was already fixed. The evidence against my fear was years of good work and a reasonable boss. Second, ask yourself, what's a more likely or less dramatic outcome? A more likely outcome was that my boss would either not notice or see it was fixed and forget about it. Another possibility is they might say, "Hey, just double-check these next time," and move on. There are a dozen more realistic possibilities between nothing happens and I'm fired and my life is over. Finally, ask, if the worst did happen, could I handle it? This is a game changer. Even if I were fired, would I really be a failure forever? No, I'd be upset and scared for sure. But I'd update my resume, call my friends, and find another job. I would survive. Asking this question strips the catastrophe of its power. It shows you that even the worst-case scenario is survivable. The first few times you do this, it feels a little weird. But with practice, You build up a reality-testing muscle that stops the spiral before it even starts. Deadly thought. 2. Black and white thinking. The second deadly thought that kept my world stuck in extremes is called black and white thinking, or all or nothing thinking. This is a mental trap where you see everything as one way or the other. Situations are either amazing or they're awful. You're either a complete success or a total failure. There's no middle ground, no nuance, no room for good enough. If you're on a diet and you eat one cookie, you've blown it, so you might as well eat the whole box. If you get a 98 on a test, you fixate on the 2% you missed and feel like a failure. It's a perfectionist's worst nightmare. My big battle with this was around my personal projects and my health. I decided I was going to get fit. The plan was perfect. Work out 5 days a week, eat perfectly, no excuses. The first week was amazing. I was a success. Then, on the second Tuesday, I missed a workout because I got stuck late at work. Instantly, my mind declared the whole thing a failure. I thought, see, I can't even stick to a simple plan. I've ruined it. All my motivation vanished. That feeling of being a failure made me ditch my fitness goals for months. I couldn't see the truth. Working out 4 times in a week is still a huge win compared to doing nothing. But in my black and white world, anything less than perfect was the same as zero. This thinking robs you of your joy in the process and makes it almost impossible to build good habits, because life is never perfect. The way out is to deliberately find the grey. Life happens in infinite shades of grey, and learning to see them is a superpower. The best way to start is to change your language. Words like always, never, complete failure, and perfect success have to go from your self-talk. When you catch yourself saying, "I totally failed my diet," stop. Rephrase it with some nuance. "I ate something that wasn't in my plan, but I followed my plan for most of the day, and that's still progress." Another great trick is to start celebrating partial credit. At the end of a day when you felt like a failure, grab a journal and write down 3 things that were good enough. Maybe you didn't finish the whole project, but you got 3 important things done. That's a win. Maybe you didn't do the full hour workout, but you went for a 15-minute walk. That's a win. You have to train your brain to see the progress that lives between 0 and 100. Practicing this is an act of self-compassion. It gives you permission to be human, to mess up, and to keep going, which is the only real secret to getting anywhere. And by the way, if this is hitting home for you, and if you've ever felt trapped by these thoughts, first know you are definitely not alone, and second, take a second to hit that subscribe button. We're on this path together, and I'll be sharing more strategies like these every single week. And let me know in the comments which one of these first 2 thoughts, catastrophizing or black and white thinking, do you relate to the most? Just sharing it can be a huge first step in taking its power away. Deadly thought. 3. Mind reading. The third deadly thought is one of the loneliest traps you can fall into. It's called mind reading. Mind reading is when you assume you know what other people are thinking, and you assume it's always something negative about you. You walk past a coworker who seems busy and doesn't say hi, and your immediate thought is, "She's mad at me." You're talking to someone, and they glance at their phone, and you think, "I'm boring them." You do this without any real evidence, just creating these stories of rejection and disapproval in your own head. This was the engine of my social anxiety for years. I'd replay conversations over and over, completely convinced I said something dumb. I'd analyze every look, every pause, and twist it into a negative judgment against me. The result? I started pulling away from people. I'd skip social events because the mental work of mind-reading everyone in the room was just too much. It creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. I assumed people didn't like me, so I'd act awkward and distant, which of course made it harder for people to connect with me. Mind-reading convicts you with a jury that doesn't even exist. To escape this prison, you have to become an evidence-based thinker. The antidote is to seek the facts, not the feelings. Your feelings are not facts. The anxiety you feel is real, but the story that anxiety is telling you that everyone thinks you're boring isn't necessarily true. The practice is to pause when the mind-reading thought shows up and ask yourself, what is the specific, concrete evidence I have for this thought? Let's go back to the coworker who walked past you. What are the facts? The fact is, she walked down the hall and didn't speak. That's it. Your interpretation that she's mad at me is a story you made up. Now, challenge that story by looking for other possibilities. What are other, more likely explanations? She could be stressed about a deadline. She could be thinking about a personal problem. She could have been rushing to the bathroom. She might not have even seen you. All of a sudden, your paranoid assumption becomes just one unlikely possibility out of a dozen. The next level of this strategy is to actually check the facts when you can. Instead of worrying for days, you could just say later, "Hey, is everything okay? You seemed a little rushed this morning." 9 times out of 10, you'll get an answer that has absolutely nothing to do with you, and the anxiety just melts away. We can never know what someone else is thinking. Choosing to believe our own fearful stories instead of observable facts is a recipe for constant stress. Stick to the facts, and you'll find freedom. Deadly thought 4. Overgeneralizing. The fourth deadly thought is a subtle but incredibly destructive habit: overgeneralizing. This is when you take one single negative event and turn it into a never-ending pattern of defeat. You make one mistake and conclude, "I can't do anything right." You go on one bad date and think, "I'll never find love." You use words like always, never, everything, and nothing to turn one bad moment into a universal rule for your life. I felt this deeply in my career. I applied for a promotion I really wanted, and I didn't get it. A single event. But my mind didn't see it that way. The thought wasn't, "I didn't get this one promotion." The thought was, "I'll never advance in my career. I'm just not cut out for this." That one data point became my whole identity. And the effect was paralyzing. For the next year, I didn't apply for any other jobs. I didn't volunteer for new projects. Why would I? In my mind, the verdict was in. I was destined to fail. Overgeneralization is a dream killer because it takes the normal bumps in the road and turns them into permanent walls, convincing you not to even try again. The way to beat this is to learn to treat a point as a point, not a pattern. When a negative event happens, you have to consciously quarantine it. The practice is to label the thought for what it is. When your mind says, "Nothing ever works out for me," I want you to say, mentally or even out loud, "Stop. That's an overgeneralization." Just naming the distortion helps you step back from it and see it as a faulty habit, not a fact. After you name it, you have to rephrase it with accuracy. Instead of, "I always ruin relationships," a more accurate thought is, "My last relationship ended, and it was painful. What can I learn from it?" Instead of, "I never succeed at anything," try, "I didn't hit my goal this time. What can I do differently next time?" This isn't about toxic positivity or pretending the setback didn't hurt. It's about being relentlessly factual. The event was real. The pain is real. But the sweeping statement about your entire life is not. It's a story. By grounding yourself in the specific, singular event, you stop it from poisoning your future. You see it for what it is, one dot on a very long line, not the end of the line itself. This keeps your hope and motivation alive, so you can get back up and try again, which is the only way to eventually create a new pattern of resilience and success. Deadly thought. 5. Should statements. Finally, we come to the 5th deadly thought, a tyrant that rules with guilt and pressure, the sneaky should statement. Should statements are the rigid set of rules you have for yourself and for other people. I should be more productive. I should be thinner. I should have accomplished more by now. He should have called me back. Every should carries an unspoken judgment and creates a gap between your reality and your expressions. When you don't live up to your shoulds, you feel guilty. When other people don't live up to your shoulds, you feel frustrated and resentful. My life was run by a long list of shoulds. I should wake up at 5 a.m. I should read more. I should be a better friend. I should be happy all the time. It was a constant stream of self-criticism. There was no room for being tired, or having an off day, or just being human. The weight of these shoulds was crushing. It didn't motivate me. It paralyzed me. The goal of being perfect and meeting every single should was so impossible that it often made me want to do nothing at all. It's a cycle, high expression, inevitable failure, and then crushing guilt. It's a recipe for always feeling like you're not good enough. Freedom from this tyrant comes from a simple but powerful shift in your language. Replace should with could or would like to. This one-word change is transformative. It shifts you from a place of judgment to a place of choice. I should exercise today is a command. It's heavy. It's an obligation. When you don't do it, you've broken a rule. But listen to the difference. I could exercise today, or I would like to exercise today. Can you feel that? It's not a rigid command anymore. It's an option. It's an invitation. It gives you your power back. It frames the activity as something that would be good for you, something you might want to do, not something you have to do. And if you choose not to, you haven't failed. You've just made a different choice. Let's try it with our feelings. How many times have you told yourself, I shouldn't feel so anxious? This just adds a layer of shame on top of the pain you're already feeling. Try taking out the should. Instead of, I shouldn't feel sad, just state the reality. I feel sad. This is an act of acceptance. It validates your experience without judging it. Replacing your shoulds dismantles the internal dictatorship of perfectionism. It trades guilt for possibility and pressure for self-compassion. It allows you to set goals based on what you actually value and desire, not on a set of imaginary rules, which makes you far more likely to actually achieve them. Conclusion. So, there they are, the 5 thought traps that kept me a prisoner in my own mind: catastrophizing, black and white thinking, mind reading, overgeneralizing, and the tyranny of should statements. Just recognizing these patterns is the most important step toward freedom. These thoughts, these mental habits, they feel incredibly real and powerful, but they aren't facts. They are just habits, and like any habit, they can be broken. The journey to a calmer mind isn't about never having a negative thought again. That's impossible. It's about changing your relationship with your thoughts. It's about learning to see them for what they are, just thoughts, passing through your mind like clouds in the sky. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to let them run your life. By learning to question the catastrophe, find the gray, seek the facts, quarantine the data point, and rephrase the should, you take your power back. You become the quiet observer of your mind, not its prisoner. The storm of anxiety doesn't just disappear overnight, but you learn that you are not the storm. You are the sky. And you have the power to let the clouds pass, to reclaim your peace, and to finally feel calm. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this video helped you, please consider sharing it with someone you think it might help too. And for more strategies on building a calmer mind and a better life, make sure you're subscribed. True peace begins the moment you decide you are no longer willing to be a prisoner of your own mind.